What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Life After Lockup, Season 4, Episode 42, Fresh Out Glow. Let's get into Monique and Derek. So it is the day after she has arrived in Cleveland, and the night before, nothing happened between them because she says that she will not do anything with him sexually until he gets tested because he cheated on her, and she wants to make sure that he's safe. Okay, girl, you should have done that before the first time that y'all ever did anything, but I guess that just sounds too much like right. This man came out of prison. You don't know what's been going on over there. You don't know who he's been seeing in there, and you raw dogged it with him then, but now all of a sudden, you have restrictions and you're trying to play it safe now. Okay, girl. So Derek comes into the room with breakfast and a pregnancy test, and he happens to tell her, I don't know exactly how this conversation got started, but he happens to tell her that the girl that he cheated on her with also had a pregnancy scare. So he's been through this before. The girl said that she was pregnant, and Derek thinks that it was just to keep him. Derek, let me put you up on game. Let me kind of bring you into the present time. This whole notion of a woman telling a man that she's pregnant to try to keep him, or to have a baby to try to keep a man, that stuff went out back in the 1950s when there was this pressure from society of you cannot be unwed and pregnant, and so the man felt pressured into marrying the woman. This went out in the 50s, sweetheart. Do you see the number of single mothers around you, Derek? What man is staying with a woman just because she's pregnant? Like, who's doing that nowadays? If it is being done, it's extremely rare, because the number of single women from all races, all economic levels, all socioeconomic levels, it is astronomical. It doesn't matter how rich you are. It doesn't matter what your race is. It doesn't matter how educated you are, how many degrees you have, how many jobs you have. It don't matter. Okay, there are the number of single mothers in this country. It's like an epidemic. So ain't nobody staying around just because a woman is pregnant. So he thinks that Monique is also trying to do the same thing. Okay. Monique gets mad at him because, he raw dogged it with the other girl. And she was like, oh, you're putting my health at risk. And you could have given me something that I couldn't get rid of. And you weren't thinking about my safety, and you weren't thinking about my health. And he was like, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I just wasn't thinking. Monique, this conversation is stupid and pointless. The only person concerned about your health is you. Okay, nobody else cares about your health. Nobody else cares about whatever medications you're going to have to be on and how it's going to affect your life if you came down with something that you couldn't get rid of. That's your problem, and your problem only, nobody else's. So you need to always make sure that you yourself are protected. It's not Derek's responsibility to protect you. You have to make sure that you yourself are protected. Let's move on from there. So he makes her take the pregnancy test, and he was actually going to follow her into the bathroom to watch her take the test. And I don't know what kind of freakish thing that was. I didn't understand that at all, because I don't know what he thought could be going on in there, like why he had to keep an eye on her while she took the test, because unless he thought that she had a fake positive test hidden somewhere, I didn't understand the purpose of him watching her take the test. Anyways, moving on. So Monique takes the test. She comes back out, and the results are negative. She is not pregnant. And now that we got that out of the way, they go back to talking about him cheating. And she tells him that, you were only out of prison for 7 days when you were, when you cheated on me. And Derek says in his confessional that what Monique doesn't know, that it wasn't just with one woman. He had cheated on her with 10 different women when she went back home to Chicago. 10 different women. And we can only hope and pray that he was using protection with those 10 different women. Because, Derek, I don't know what you think is going on, but honey, I don't know. I just don't know. There's stuff, I just don't know. Let's just assume that he was practicing safe sex. Let's just go under that assumption, because if he wasn't, it's very scary. So He says that he was cheating on her with 10 different women since she had gone back to Chicago, and he said that that's light for him. That's a slow day for him. That's light. He says that's nothing. He says females see that fresh out glow, and I'm shining like new money. So he thinks that there's like a special, like women are specifically attracted to men who are fresh out of prison. There's just something about that draws females to him. That fresh out of prison glow. I've never heard of such a thing. I mean, I by watching Love After Lockup, I can see that there are women who are very much attracted to men who are incarcerated, but I don't think this has the same effect on the average woman, the fresh out glow. Like, I don't get it. I really don't get it because, I mean, most women are attracted to, I have a job glow. I have good credit glow. I take care of my kids glow. I have a car that runs glow and I own it and it's under my own name. I have a mortgage glow. Those are the kind of glows that women are attracted to, not that fresh out glow. I don't know what you're talking about. So he was out there wilding out, running amok when she went back to Chicago, which is fine. It's understandable. You've been locked up for a long time and you just want to, you're feeling yourself and you want to go out there and you want to sow your royal oats and do this and do that. We get it, Derek. But the thing is, you claim to have a girlfriend in Monique. You present her to us as your girlfriend. And so you're looking extremely, extremely doggish. So then she asks him, have you been with anybody else? And Derek says, no, I haven't. Okay. So later on, she meets up with her sisters and he is supposed to be joining them. But before he shows up, the sisters ask her, so what did he say about him cheating? She says that, he just said that because I was gone, he was missing me or whatever, he just fell into it, right? He just started cheating because he was lonely and bored and whatever. And so Derek comes in to join them. And as soon as he sits down, the sisters, start asking him questions about the infidelity. Why would you do this to our sister? She was holding it down for you. She was always there for you. Why would you do this to her? And Derek says that they were having a lot of problems at the time. He said that, their families were not supportive of their relationship, that they were arguing a lot, disrespecting each other. And so the sisters were like, well, how does she disrespect you? And Monique explains to her sisters that Derek takes special offense whenever she calls him a bitch. He doesn't like it. And so to him, that's a form of disrespect. And so Monique says, with all these issues that we were having, I didn't feel the need to cheat on you. And so I'm pretty sure he was feeling some kind of way because all of a sudden he tried to throw it back on her. He tried to throw it back on her saying, well, I wasn't the only one who did wrong because you did a lot of wrong as well. And she was like, well, what did I do? He was like, well, for example, you lied. You lied to me. And she said, about what? And he says, you told me that you were pregnant. And she says, Derek, I never said that I was pregnant. I told you I thought I was pregnant. And then Derek says, well, what's the difference? What? What's the difference? Okay, if you don't know, Derek, then we don't have any time to break it down. We have no time to break it down to you and explain to you. So then there was this talk about how he was talking to another female while he was in prison. Monique said that she had never known about that until I guess he had told her recently about it. And Derek claimed that I did tell you about her. She says, no, you didn't, because if you would have told me that you were talking to another female, because I'm pretty sure Monique was putting a lot of money on his books, and if she knew that he was talking to another female, all of that would have stopped. And so he kept on saying, yes, I told you. I just never said it. I never said that it was another female, but I told you that I was talking to other people. I don't know what the hell was going on. That's off camera stuff before they came on the show stuff. So I don't have much to say about that. So after that, the question was asked, well, how do y'all move forward from this? And Derek says, I'm going to stop all my lying. I'm going to stop all the BS. I'm going to put all my side pieces away. And so Monique was like, wait a minute. Did you say side pieces as in more than one? Well, he finagled his way out of that because she didn't pay too much attention to that after that. He dodged that question. He dodged that bullet because I don't know if she why she didn't catch on to that. She caught on to it because she asked him, what do you mean side piece says? But whatever he says, she fell for it. And then she just moved on from there. So then Derek invites them. He says to them that my sisters are going to be having a party and I'm inviting y'all to the party. And, they're kind of like wary of that because they don't get along with his sisters at all. And they were kind of like, they invited us to their party. And so Derek says, okay, they are not inviting you, but I'm inviting you to their party. And Monique and her sisters are like, oh, we don't know about that. We're going to have to meet with them alone and maybe, talk to them first before we just show up at their house for a party. So then Monique wants Derek to leave or to kind of step aside a little bit so that she can have a conversation with her sisters alone. And so he goes into the restaurant and he sits at the bar and he starts flirting with the bartender over there. So then she's asking her sister, so what do y'all think? And the sisters tell her, well, he's a really good talker and you're falling for it. He has a way of communicating, has a way of using his words, and he's got you roped. You're falling for it. And Monique talks about how she might want to move to Cleveland to be closer to Derek. And the sisters are like, oh no, that is not a good idea because you're going to be here all by yourself and it's going to be you against this whole entire family and those crazy sisters of his. That is not a good idea. So like I said, while she's talking to her sisters, he's inside the bar and he's like flirting with the bartender heavy. And then he tells us that not only does he have the phone that Monique bought for him, that brand new phone that she bought for him, he has multiple phones. He has a phone specifically for his family. He has a phone specifically for other things. So, this man is like, this is the kind of man that will never, ever change. When they say once a cheater, always a cheater, they were talking about Derek from Life After Lockup, for real. They're talking about him. For you to go as far as to have multiple phones, and I don't even know how he would pay for these phones. I guess Monique bought him a phone. His family probably bought him a phone, and his other chicks probably each of them bought him a phone. So for you to live this kind of life where you're cheating with so many women in a short amount of time, you're making this woman believe that, you're her one and only. You see all the money that she's spending on you, and you really don't give a damn. You don't feel any remorse. You don't feel any guilt. I think Derek is the kind of person where, like, this man's got like multiple personalities or something. Like when he's with Monique, he sees himself as, okay, I am faithful Derek, Monique's boyfriend. And then when he's not around her, he sees himself as, player. I got hoes in every area code. I got, women all over the place and I got to do what I got to do. I just don't understand how he can sit there next to this woman and see how she pours her heart out to him. And then knowing that he's got several other women lined up that he's going to be talking to, that he's going to be spending time with, that he's going to be sleeping with, that he's going to be raw dogging it with. It's almost like amazing to watch him in action, to see how he can lie to her so easily without a second thought, without batting an eye, knowing that he's got like 15 phones in his pockets. And he's got to keep up with like 35 different relationships. So I'm just like, and then the thing is that it's not like he's hiding it that well. You know what I mean? Because when she was in Chicago and she wanted to, she was FaceTiming him, he was trying to hide exactly where he was. He accidentally said side pieces. He cheated on her 7 days after being released from prison. She's just not picking up what he's putting down. And Monique, you are in remedial classes. Okay, you're in remedial classes, while Derek, he is in advanced honors classes, about to graduate, and he's so smart that he's taking over the class and he's teaching the students. That's how far ahead he is of you. He is like light years ahead of you. And Monique, the way things are going and how you're acting right now, you're never going to be able to catch up. So good luck on all of that. Let's move on to Sarah and Sean. So Sarah had us thinking that she was driving to go see her baby daddy, the father of her daughter, her oldest daughter. That's what she had us thinking, because she was talking about, oh, Anthony, I missed him. I want to see him. I want to see what's going on with his life. Anthony. So she shows up at the damn restaurant and it's not Anthony that comes to meet her. It's his sister. And I'm like, what kind of shenanigans is this? So the whole thing was just a way to trick the viewer. She knew she wasn't going to go meet him because the man's in rehab. If y'all been communicating on the phone like that, how would he not tell you that he was in rehab? Why were you thinking that you're going to go meet him? Obviously you weren't, and you knew that. But the producers of the show or whatever, they wanted us to think that she was going to meet up with Anthony. Anthony is in rehab. So she gets to the restaurant. The sister comes out, which I don't even know why the sister was there because they really didn't even talk. But Anthony calls her on her phone and I guess the spark is still there. The attraction is still there. And we also find out that she never told her daughter that Anthony was her father. So as they're talking to one another, he calls her beautiful. And like I said, the attraction seems to still be there. She says that Anthony was her everything. He was the love of her life. He laid it on her like nobody ever had before or since. So there's like really something, like there's some type of an emotional connection between these two people. So now that she's married and she tells him, well, now I'm married, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, I don't give a damn about that. I don't give a damn about none of that. I don't care that you're married. He says, me and you, we have something, and I was there before your husband and I'm going to be there after your husband, because it's not going to last with Sean. It's not going to last. And so he says that he wants her back, and he also wants a relationship with his daughter. And she tells him that, well, if you can get your addiction under control, I might let you meet our daughter. So that's what's going on there. She's trying to keep, she's trying to keep multiple burners going at the same time. So we've already met her plan B, right? So we're back home now, and she's in the kitchen pretending like she's cleaning. That kitchen was spick and span clean, but she was pretending like she was just hard at work, slaving away when Sean comes home. So he comes home and he goes into the refrigerator and he opens up a container of cookies, and he takes a bite, and some crumbs fall on the floor. And then she was like, oh, really? After I just cleaned the floor, I'm going to have to pick up your mess? And I'm like, girl, chill. It was just one crumb. Okay? Relax. So she's acting like he just completely destroyed the whole kitchen now. And so he barely acknowledges the baby, and he goes into the living room and he starts playing his video games. And so she gets really upset with him. So she goes into the living room, she rips the damn headset off his head, and she lays it on him. And she tells him how she's not going to put up with this. She is not Kelly. She's not going to stick around for 18 years just to find out that he'll never get it together. That he'll never change. She talks about how there's no intimacy between them and how weird it is that he's always too tired to touch her. And she thinks that that's so weird because, the average man is not like that. She really lays it on him, and she says that he's going to have to change because she don't give a damn about this marriage. She'll walk away in a heartbeat if he doesn't make any changes. And so he promises her. He picks up the baby, acts like he's playing with the baby. And he says, oh, Sarah, I'm so sorry. I promise I'll change. He wants to give her a kiss, but she pushes him away. Well, what does he do? He puts the baby back down and flops right in front of that TV and starts playing the video game again, like the conversation never even took place. So then she stomps into the living room again. She rips the headset off of his head again. And she goes, did you not hear anything that I just told you? And then she slams the headset on the ground, and I think they actually broke. And he's got the audacity to get mad at her and be like, I don't know what's wrong with her. I don't know what's wrong with her. So her drug addicted ex is looking better and better. Moving on to Cameron and Eris. So he finally arrives in Florida after he does the 60 days, and they arrive at the house, and her daughter Lena is not there because Lena is going to be staying with her mom for a while because her and Cameron have a lot. They have to make up for a lot of lost time. They want to have some time alone, blah, 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 because they've been apart for 2 months. So she tells him that I only have 2 requirements from you. Number 1, you have to get a job. Number 2, you have to help me with Lena. And he's like, I got you. So he wants to surprise her, right? And so he doesn't want to tell her exactly where he's taking her. They arrive at the destination. She's not supposed to look. But in the middle of this, her father calls her. So she's talking to her dad on the phone. And her dad says, well, I found out on social media that you got married, and I'm extremely disappointed on who you married. And she was like, yeah, I know, Dad, but if I would have told you, you would have tried to talk me out of it. Her saying that lets me know that she knows she probably made a mistake, because she knew that her dad was going to talk her out of it. Why else would he talk you out of it other than this guy might not be the right guy for you? I can just imagine him being her father, to see his beautiful daughter, who seems to kind of like have it all together, who marry an inmate and, someone who just got released from prison, and she has a daughter, a young daughter. I mean, I can just imagine Because it'd be bad enough if he didn't have a criminal record. It would still be bad because, she's got this impressionable young girl, that she's raising. But now add to it that he's got a criminal record and Lord have mercy. I know that father he almost had a heart attack. So, she tells her dad that she would not make a wrong decision, that she knows exactly what she's doing, and that, she didn't make, this was not the wrong choice for her. This was the right choice for her. So then she gets off the phone with her dad, and so Cameron can finally surprise her now with what he wanted to surprise her with. And what it was a beautiful beach dinner. The table was laid out with all the decorations on it. There was a private chef. They had, delicious food. They had lobster. They had shrimp. They had 24 karat gold tomahawk steaks. I mean, he laid it all out. And so she was very appreciative. She thought it was really, really sweet. And she showed her gratitude. And she was like, well, how did you even get the money to pay for all of this? And he was like, don't worry about that. And I don't want you to ever ask me again how I get my money. Don't ever ask me that again. Just don't worry about it. I got it all under control. So he says. So that was really, really sweet of him because and I'm pretty sure he felt bad with him getting drunk at the hotel back in Cleveland and, treating her so bad and taking off his ring. I bet he felt really, really bad. And so he's just trying to make it up to her. So far he's on the right track, but we got our real good eye on you, Cameron. Moving on to Chance and Taylor. So she's shopping for baby clothes with her friend and she talks about how Chance is really horrible with money. And she tells us that he had spent $300 for an online game. You know how those games that you download on your phone, and to kind of like be able to get an advantage of the game, you have to like actually pay for extra stuff. He spent $300 for an online game when I could not even spend $1.99 for anything. I'ma just, struggle on this level until I get past it because I'm not paying for nothing. So the friend thinks that Chance is immature, not a good choice for Taylor at all. She calls Chance Peter Pan. Like he acts young. He acts much younger than his age. Like, Peter Pan. He'll never grow up. He'll never be responsible. Taylor talks about Chance getting a call from somebody and she wonders if he's cheating. Girl, that's not a woman. It's creditors wanting their money. So Chance he started a power washing business. So he goes to see one of his friends to power wash his driveway at a discount. And while he's over there at his friend's house, his son calls him. He has an 18-year-old son. I think he's about 18. I'm not sure. He has a son who's at least 18 years old. And he has never seen him, or he hasn't seen him in 18 years. And so he wants to reconnect with his son. And so he tells his son, what about you coming up to see me? And the son says, oh, I'd love to, but I just can't afford it right now. So instead of either talking about it with Taylor first, if he could, pay for his son to come up there, or just telling his son, okay, when you get the money together, my door's always open for you. He doesn't do any of that. He doesn't do the things that make sense. He's just like, oh, okay, well, if you can't come up, if you can't afford to come up, I'll pay for it. Didn't run it by Taylor, doesn't have the money to really do that, but that's the promise that he made to his kid. So he comes home and Taylor sees the damn pressure washer. And she's like, how much was this? You're always buying stuff. And so he tells her, you don't understand business and you don't understand, how to make money. You just know how to spend it. When the only one spending money is him with the truck and buying that house and he was supposed to renovate and rent out. Whatever happened to that? I mean, I think Chance probably is just addicted to shopping. Maybe that's what his issue is. I have no idea. So he tells her with that pressure washer, that's what's going to help pay for all the baby. He's trying to like manipulate the situation by mentioning the baby and all the things that she could buy for the baby to kind of sweeten the deal. He says, this pressure washer, this is what's going to help you buy all the stuff that you want for the baby decorations and the clothes. And then she says to him, which made a lot of sense, instead of spending the money on the pressure washer, why couldn't you just spend that money on the baby? And he says, well, the pressure washer is going to make that money back and then some. Anyways, so she tells us that she's been struggling more with him than she had ever struggled as a single mother to 3 kids. And that is saying a lot. Since she's hooked up with Chance, her credit has also suffered because they didn't have any money. And so she would spend money to make sure that the bills were covered and her credit cards would go unpaid. And of course, that hit her credit score really bad. That caused her credit score to drop. And when she said that my life has been worse with him than it ever was without him, I was like, girl, you ain't said nothing but a word. You ain't said nothing but a word. So then from there, he's like, you know what? I can go make $700 right now. And she says, go do it then. I'll be here waiting. Go do it. And when you come back with $700 cold hard cash, I'll take my words back. Moving on to Amber and Puppy. So Amber is with her boyfriend, TC, and they're talking about the fight that they had the night before when he had revealed on camera that Amber had confided in him that Puppy and her boyfriend, Eric, had sold drugs. So at first, Amber had denied it. TC got upset because, yes, you did. You told me that. Well, the thing is, she did tell him that, but she just didn't expect him to blab it out on camera. And so she admits that, yes, she did tell him that. But she was trying to protect Puppy. So she says, yeah, when Puppy and Eric first got together, they were selling drugs. That's what they were doing. And so she flipped out on him over something that she actually did tell him. Now, TC talks about how he hates that whole entire drug culture. And Amber was like, yeah, I was a part of that drug culture. He says, I hate it. I don't want to associate myself with anybody that's involved in that drug culture. And that would make sense why he's so cold towards Puppy, because Amber told him that she was a drug dealer. And the reason why he hates the drug culture is because his own father had suffered with addiction. And when his father got on drugs, which it wasn't like his whole life, like all of TC's life. I think when TC was a little bit older, his father got on drugs. It absolutely ruined their lives. So he hates this whole drug thing. And that's why, he's so distant with Puppy and Eric. Let's go over to Puppy and Eric. So Puppy and Eric, they're at home and, they're talking about how much debt they're in because their property taxes are now delinquent. They have no money and she wants to help him out, but he doesn't want her to help. He doesn't want her to stress about it. And she feels very empty inside. Yes, Puppy, we know you feel very empty inside. So she goes outside and she's crying again because she feels helpless and she feels like, he doesn't want her to help and she feels like she's a burden to him and she's crying yet again. Moving on to Lindsay and Blaine. So I didn't talk about Lindsay and Blaine last time because I really didn't care because Lindsay's storyline, I'm just not interested in it. I like Blaine, but Lindsay, I can't. But here we are. So the whole thing is, she finds out that Blaine had a lot of serious charges against him, a lot of serious charges, and he was facing up to 19 years. And when they went to go talk to the attorney was going to charge him $15,000 to help him with his case. And so Lindsay was upset because Blaine had hid how serious the charges were. She wasn't upset that he committed the crimes. She was just upset that he never told her the stuff that he was facing. So she got upset. She storms out of the lawyer's office and she's going to walk home by herself. Okay, fine. So they meet up at the house and, she's upset and she's, they're talking, they're having a conversation about it. And she says, you know what? I can't trust you because you lied to me. He lied by omission, but to her, it was still lying. You lied to me. I feel like I can't trust you, blah, blah, blah. And so they talk it out, whatever. They kiss and make up at the end and it's all good. So he promises, I'm not going to lie to you ever again, whatever. So she has to go now because she has to go take a drug test. So when she leaves, his lawyer calls. And the lawyer, and I'm thinking all of this is happening the same day because when she came home, she was walking without her shoes on when she came to the house. So she was walking from the lawyer's office. Okay. Because she threatened to walk home. She didn't want to get in the truck with Blaine when he tried to get her to come into the truck. She was like, no, I'll walk home. So this is all within the same day. So in one day, we went from Blaine facing 19 years in prison, doing hardcore time, and having to pay his attorney $15,000. Now, all of that has been reduced to, all he's going to have to do now is 3 years house arrest. He can't leave Mississippi. His house has to be checked. He has to have permission on who he can live with. And now the lawyer's fees are also going to be reduced. And I'm like, what did the lawyer do for, like, practically for free? It seems like this was just a bunch of much ado about nothing. Like, it almost seemed like this whole thing was just fake or scripted or something. I don't know, because just last week he was facing some serious time, and now the lawyer's like, well, I got you 3 years house arrest. How did you do all that? And they haven't even paid you a dime. And so then Blaine was like, okay, so what about the fees that I owe you? And he was like, well, I can get that reduced too. So he's got to talk about it with Lindsay first, but he wants to surprise Lindsay with the good news. He doesn't want to tell her right away. And I'm just like, it seemed so hopeless. I mean, she stormed out of the lawyer's office because of all the stuff that the lawyer told them and the cost and all of this. Now it's just going to be just 3 years of house arrest and reduced legal fees. I just didn't understand how that, like, what did this lawyer do in that short amount of time? Anyways, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content. Go ahead and subscribe, and I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.